We're live, babe.
All right.
What's up?
Nothing.
Why not?
I don't know. I guess a lot of things, little things.
Oh, man. Yep. How was your week?
Good. Went fast.
It did. This week, flew by.
Yeah.
I remember Thursday thinking, I feel like I blinked. I was real busy at work. I had a couple of presentations I had to give and a bunch of meetings. So just coming back from the holidays, and it just...
Same. I had to get caught up on a bunch of emails and stuff, which is always so fun. And then a lot of house stuff, too, that I got into, I guess, this week.
Yeah. We have... I don't know if it was just you get refreshed from the new year or something, but...
You want to get rid of everything.
Keeping things organized and clean and get rid of a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
So I got rid of probably... I have a t-shirt problem. I have way too many t-shirts and stuff, and I got rid of probably half my closet this week. It felt good. If you've never done a deep I'm getting rid of a bunch of junk that I don't need anymore, it's a good way to feel good.
Especially in a visible spot like your closet, or a usable spot where you're
where it's you
notice it every day now.
Yeah, and it's not those little unorganized spots in your life really take up a lot of energy and time sometimes.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
So same with my office. Sometimes I get my office real unorganized, and this year it's been organized at least the first 2 weeks here.
Yeah.
So it felt pretty good. I got one little spot right there that's needs cleaned up. But there's sometimes it's okay to be a little chaotic. Sometimes it's more efficient to be chaotic than to have,
Yeah.
stuff.
At least have a catch-all spot for the things that don't go somewhere else. So you
Junk
keep
drawers,
everywhere else.
or junk drawers are good. And then just once a year, go through them and.
Yeah. Well, I think it's been 3 years since we've been through our junk.
Yeah, ours is out of hand. When you can't close it anymore, that's when you got to go
it's
through it.
gone
And
through.
we're at that point right now. Oh.
I did do some, I guess, would it be considered homesteading type stuff too?
Oh yeah, you did.
Baking and cooking or whatever. Not necessarily canning, freezing.
Yep. Bone broth.
Yep. Did some venison bone broth with some of the bones that Josh got this year, and we had put in the freezer. And I had made one batch earlier, but it wasn't a very big one, and so we ran out of it pretty quick. So I made a much bigger batch this time, and it was a little time consuming, but it'll be good to have.
Yep. It's always some of that's homesteading stuff that we're doing. It teeters on if it's worth it sometimes. A bone broth is for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Sometimes we just for practical reasons. Some of the old ways just don't fit into the lifestyle people have now.
Yeah, but I usually think it's always worth it because of the ingredients.
Yeah.
You almost can't probably buy it that way, even if you wanted to now.
No. I'm not talking about bone broth is worth it.
Yeah.
And your time, it does take a lot of time, but you get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
But there's certain things you do that it's just oh my gosh, know, I can't think of an example right now, but you get to a point where it's
I know you're like that with green beans. Usually the end of the canning season, he's over it.
Big time.
He's I'll just buy some, but
yeah,
you can't get them the same way. I mean, and you can probably, but it costs more, and I'm not about that. But even then, I think they still would have preservatives and everything else that aren't in ours. So
yeah, but it's good. I think it's a good skill to have. You never know what's going to ever happen in the world.
Oh yeah,
and to be able to, I don't know that people I've heard very smart people talk about apocalyptic times, if that would ever happen, that people that can grow their own food are the ones that are going to do well. It's not hunting is going to be probably a rough go at it because everybody's going to be trying to hunt.
Yeah. So all the animals are going to be, overrun, overkilled, over whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, so having the knowledge to grow your own food would be important.
Yeah.
One thing we got is grow lights to start plants. We got those in.
Yeah, that'll be it. And one of the next projects, I guess. Every year I say I'm gonna try doing my own seed starts for our garden. And this is the year we're actually going to try to do it.
Another thing is gardening is popular around here. A lot of people have gardens. They live in a very rural area.
Right.
And if you don't get on top of plants like at the greenhouses and stuff, they'll be gone.
Yeah.
The good ones, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And we don't, I mean, we do pretty basic stuff now. I mean, there's been years we've done a lot, but now that, I don't know, every year you do it, you change it a little bit. And it just seems like I think I want less items, like less different kinds of plants, but
Yeah.
more of them, of the ones that I know we're going to use or save us the most, or that, like, I love having green beans.
I do too. And tomatoes.
To always know that we have green beans. Like, there's always that vegetable you could add to whatever meal. So
the only thing that I want to do better at is our fruit stuff. We have several fruit trees, and
they haven't done well though the last couple of years.
Well, I think that's because of my fault, not managing them, like not keeping bugs off of them. And
yeah,
I pruned them very well last year, but it was too little, too late, kind of thing. We also have a horrible coon problem where I can't even get to, like, we can't get to them before the coons do.
Yeah, as soon as they get like ripe enough, like we wouldn't eat it yet, but
yeah,
it would be good. Like they get.
I'm talking about eat them in a couple nights, all of them.
Yeah, that happened this year.
But
we didn't even get to eat our peaches at all.
No, I got a thermal now though. I got a 20 thermal with a 22.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I do.
There is a lot of our kids love fruit of all kinds in every version of it. You know, anything you can make it into, they love. So I'd like to do more once we start getting more fruit.
Yeah,
we planted more blueberry bushes. We had.
And blueberries off of a bush are good.
Yeah,
like they are like pieces of candy.
They were new, so they hadn't, like, it wasn't enough for us to do anything with. We just ate the few that were on there this year. But we put more
just had just like a handful.
That kind of stuff.
And then you want to do your grapes.
Mm-hmm.
We eat like so many grapes, or I do.
Yeah, I'm gonna plant grapes this year, and I buy 2 bags of grapes every week, probably.
Yeah,
at least.
Yeah. What else did we do? We planted probably we
do a couple fruit trees every year. We plant.
Yeah, we got 4 apple trees, 3 peach trees, 4 peach trees, pears, 1 pear tree.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're going to plant a bunch more this year though.
Yeah, every year we try to kind of add to it. We didn't want to overwhelm ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have gained a little bit more space the last couple of years that we can.
A little bit more, a bunch more.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We don't want to mow it, so putting something else there.
6-acre field that isn't crops anymore. It's going to be whatever we want to do with it. 4-wheeler track for Huck right now.
Yeah, so that's all of that kind of stuff. Well, and if I can even grow herbs and wildflowers, I can learn to do stuff with
that too. That's one thing. I mean, I'm all for you doing it, but the herb thing, I don't know. That's something that might not be, as far as your time put into it, how much you get out of it. That'll be interesting to see.
Well, yeah, just for like cooking and stuff, and I may be able to dry them and use them. Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple that I think I would use a lot, and then a couple that I may not use as much, but yeah, won't know till I do it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's something I'm not real educated on.
Yeah,
but we did get I have heater. We have a bathroom and a closet in the barn that's heated, and the heaters were not working, but we got those fixed this week, so you can start your plants in there.
Yep, I think
grow lights and
for around here, I think there's some I can start next month. I think is the earliest I want to start seeding.
You know who you need to go talk to is Mike.
Probably
he does that. He'll talk to you about it forever.
Yeah,
our neighbor has a green thumb.
Yeah, he has a produce stand and
starts his own stuff and has his own lawn service, and he's a good neighbor.
Yep.
But took my tractor in to get serviced today, so that'll be ready, and all that fun stuff
for our garden dreams.
Yeah. Well, we got to buy a tiller still.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have to, but it'd be nice to have.
Yeah, the weed control is always one of the.
Yeah. Well, someone mentioned on here last week we need to put down paper.
Yeah.
We need to do that this year.
We could start saving cardboard boxes too. That is good.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
That's a
good idea. Cardboard, put it down, and then we may dig up some of our dirt or even get some new stuff and kind of put it on top too.
Yeah, I think there's all kinds of things you can use.
Yeah.
For weed barrier.
Yeah. So it may be. And because we plant in the ground, I see a lot of people do raised beds now because it does help with weed control, but we plant in the ground. And I like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't want to have to mess with raised beds, to be honest. But I know, like, I guess building them is the hardest part and filling them. And then once they're built and filled, they're probably not too hard to manage.
I get the concept. It just seems like for us, we got the space and the
right
to just do it in the ground.
Yeah,
just have to do control the weeds.
Yeah, you'd probably have to like replenish your minerals or like every so often in the soil that's in the raised beds.
Yeah,
more than you would in the ground, but because we just tilt up the ground. But
I try to keep up with that in our garden area, but what else we got over there? We don't. Zeke was saying they do beets. I love beets, and we do beets every few years.
Yeah,
usually,
we still have beets from a couple years ago.
Because the only person that eats them is me.
Yeah, Hawke did for a little bit, and he kind of got away from it. Yeah. Hayes hasn't taken to it yet. We haven't tried. I don't think we ever given one really. I think we did a time or two, but
I like beets. Onions. We haven't done onions
in a while. Well, we didn't really create a great space to store them because you have to store them in a dry, cool area in a certain way and all that. I honestly kind of quit cooking with onions. I love onions and cooking with it, but we actually did a diet thing. It's called a gut protocol, and you have to quit eating onions for the time you're doing that protocol. And so I kind of just got used to cooking without them, and then I just put them back in. We did that.
We buy them. We buy onions pretty often, though.
Not anymore. I don't.
I feel like we buy. I feel like we buy them.
I bought it for that broth this week, but that's for my normal every week cooking. I don't.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Often anymore. Yeah, I could. I just honestly forget sometimes.
Yeah, we used to cook them like
deer
steak or something.
Yeah, you always start with with grilled onion or whatever. You always start with sauteing onion. That's what I always start with, onion and garlic. But I haven't. I still do garlic pretty heavy, but I don't do the onion as much. But kids don't love onions either. But
I used to not like them, and I do now. When I was a kid, I don't think I liked onions.
Yeah.
Have you seen that guy on?
You try to sneak them in there,
internet
and they find them.
Eats an onion in public? Have you seen him?
No, but
it's pretty funny.
That what's the movie? In the Grinch. I'm like, we just watched it. In the Grinch, he just takes a
the Grinch. Yeah.
I could not do that, but
no, that's what this guy does. He eats raw eggs on airplanes and then an onion, and see just to get people's reaction to it.
This would be mine. Ugh.
It's pretty funny. Most people are just thrown off by it. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Is there anything else we want to talk about before? Okay, I was going to give everybody just a little bit of we're going to just a podcast, what it's looking like this year so far, what I'm thinking at least. So, my goal this year is kind of to produce three podcasts a week. And what it's going to look like is it'll be this one on Sunday or whenever we can get to it. Hopefully we're going to try to do it around Sunday evening. It's going to depend on babysitters and whatnot for us. And
sometimes they'll be live, and other times they may have.
Yeah, like next week, for example, me and Maddie are going on a little vacation together. We're going to record one while we're on Saturday when we have time, and then we'll just put it up live this time. So we won't have the interaction here. It'll be live where y'all can get on and chit chat and talk about what we're talking about or whatever. But it won't be live. But I think most weeks we'll probably do it live. It's convenient for us to do it live just for editing purposes for me. And then I'm going to try to do like a single podcast where it's just me, where I do like deer hunting related stuff. And it's probably going to be a lot of like tips and just things that I'm thinking about again. And those might be 20 minutes. They might be 40 minutes. They might be an hour. They're going to be just whatever, but it's going to be like in this type of a platform. And then obviously I want to have a guest on too, if I can, every week. That's the one that's going to float probably, where it'll be different. But right now I have a plethora of guests that are on the books or I've contacted and want to do a podcast. So lots of good stuff this year. I'm going to try to really up my game. We're thinking about building a little This looks like we have room. We have no room right here doing this type of thing where we got stuff laying everywhere. So we're going to try to, behind you here, we're going to try to build a little section for us to do this. We're gonna look. That's gonna be the project this week, maybe. So this next week show probably won't have it set up, and maybe the week after that, we will.
Yeah. So make sure you let us know if you like this and want us to keep doing it, so that we know
the first one went well. So
we
ought to just do it anyway. Just
I say it's. I guess whatever. If we like it, then we'll do it, and whoever sees it, we'll see it.
We are in James 2 now. This is a good one.
Yeah, I enjoyed reading James.
Yeah. This chapter 2 is really about your faith, and kind of faith without action is dead, essentially, is what James is talking about in 2. He starts off with talking about favoritism. And that is, you want to read 1 to kind of 9-ish real quick, babe?
Yeah. Excuse me. Okay, so this chapter 2 starts out with favoritism forbidden. My brothers and sisters, believers in our glorious Lord Jesus Christ, must not show favoritism. Suppose a man comes into your meeting wearing a gold ring and fine clothes, and a poor man in filthy old clothes also comes in. If you show special attention to the man wearing fine clothes and say, "Here's a good seat for you," but say to the poor man, "You stand there," or "Sit on the floor by my feet," have you not discriminated among yourselves and become judges with evil thoughts? Are you going to that next?
Yeah, go ahead and just up to 9-ish.
Oh, I see. Okay. Listen, my dear brothers and sisters, has not God chosen those who are poor in the eyes of the world to be rich in faith and to inherit the kingdom he promised those who love him? But you have dishonored the poor. It is not the rich who are exploiting you. Are they not the ones who are dragging you into court? Are they not the ones who are blaspheming the noble name of him to whom you belong? If you really keep the royal law found in Scripture, love your neighbor as yourself, you are doing right. But if you show favoritism, you sin and are convicted by the law as lawbreakers.
Yeah, so favoritism. So James kind of warns us against showing like favoritism to those who look good, who are high class, I guess. And you got to like go back to kind of 1 to think about who is James talking to here. So he's talking to Jews that are now Christians, is who he's writing this to. And so a stereotype back then, from what I researched and read about, was that a lot of Jews back then thought that if you had a lot of money, if you had a lot of status, God was favoring you. And James was kind of talking to these new Christians about that's not what Jesus and God tells us. So that's kind of what when James are talking to these new Christians, he's reminding them about favoritism. Anything about that you want to talk about?
Just that it's kind of that, I guess a common saying is like you should, I don't know, treat the boss the same as you treat the janitor kind of thing. Which I always strive to do that, and also strive to teach our kids to think the same way, about anyone they come in contact with, to treat them all with respect. It's
a very serious, like, a problem that we have now, like, and not now, it's always been a problem for humans to not judge others. And it feels like, maybe, I don't know if this is true or not, and probably in certain ways it's true, that it's harder to not do this now, just because of all the information that we hear and the evil in the world, not to see someone, in a big city that, looks a certain way, or like, is like a bum on the street or something, and being cautious around those type of people, and having a certain perspective about them. It's hard. And, we always hear, back in the day, you'd hear people like picking up hitchhikers and taking them places. And now they're like, don't do that. Essentially you're judging them.
Yes.
And I think there is a sense of, you got to be aware of your surroundings, but
and be
it's
careful,
like, where do you, it's a tough one. That's a really tough one.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I'm one of those. I would not, especially me alone driving, would not pick up someone.
No, and
Maybe
I
say a
would.
prayer for them. Hope.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that a little bit. Here.
Yeah, I'm just saying. That is
because you don't really want to be one of those. I'll pray for you, Christians.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't. That's exactly what James is talking about. Like that's just words.
Yeah.
Actions. If you're just, I don't know. Saying I'm just going to pray for you whenever you could have helped them. That's not necessarily a good way of being a Christian, and that therefore your faith may be weak because of that.
Yeah, which I do have a note in here, which it's for kind of the further part we haven't read, but still connects to this. Just that this is hard. Just as a human, it is hard to remember and to act out and to put into your life. The part. Can I read?
Yeah.
Chapters.
What are you going to read?
12 to 13.
Yeah, go ahead, read it.
Well, I'll continue with 10 first, and then I'll.
Yeah, go ahead.
So where we left off, for whoever keeps the whole law and yet stumbles at just one point is guilty of breaking all of it. For he who said, "You shall not commit adultery," also said, "You shall not murder." If you do not commit adultery, but do commit murder, you have become a lawbreaker. Now, 12 to 13. Speak and act those who are going to be judged by the law that gives freedom, because judgment without mercy will be shown to anyone who has not been merciful. Mercy triumphs over judgment. So that's the part this is hard.
Yeah.
That's speak and act as those who are going to be judged by the law that gives freedom. Knowing that you yourself are going to be judged by God, and God alone is the one that matters. That's how you should be acting. But how many times do we act in a way because we think we're going to be judged by other people and care about that more than
what God's going to judge us?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I feel like almost we care more about what others think than what God thinks.
Yeah.
100%.
And a lot of times, base our actions off of that.
Yeah. Why do we care so much about that? Like, as I get older, I realize too that like all these people that you're intimidated by, or you're afraid they're going to think a certain way of you, like they're no smarter than you are. You know what I mean?
I feel like I can say this because I've known you since we were young.
Yeah.
You were 16, I was 15. You have gotten better about that as we've gotten older. That is a maturity thing, I think, that has come to you. I'm
a very big people pleaser.
Yeah.
So that's something that I had to work on. I had to work on.
Well, and it's also you were raised, to be respectful and kind, which is good.
Yeah.
But there comes a point where you can't care so much what people think that you're going to let it.
Yeah. I think I got good at
act a certain way.
I also got better at, I got told at work one time that I'm really good at telling people they're doing something wrong and making them smile, like they don't have
while
to.
You do
yeah,
it.
They don't have to. I don't know how. I don't.
Feel bad about
whatever.
themselves, even though they're telling them
yeah.
you're doing
and I think
something wrong.
That's a skill I developed because I was always like, I don't want to make this. I don't want to come across as I'm being mean or downgrading this people. But also, like, it took a long time to get to that point.
Oh yeah. I am still a work in progress, but
yes, Maddie's very brash. Sometimes.
Well, that's what I don't want to say always. I for a long time have not really cared about what other people have thought about me, but in a way, or to a point that sometimes it can come off as, or even be given as disrespectful or insensitive. So.
Mm-hmm. You want to talk about how you grew up, because you grew up in people would never know this unless they knew you, but how you grew up, maybe a little bit about your background.
We kind of went over last week how I think I said this, that I went to school at a Catholic grade school, but wasn't Catholic. But
not talk more about like the environment you were in, if that's okay.
But so it was a I guess it'd be a private school. But it was located in essentially right outside of downtown Indianapolis. So I lived in Indianapolis. I was born and lived in Indianapolis until I was 13 in a pretty,
Ghetto area.
yeah, I'll say like kind of low income area. So that private school we went to was probably one of the lower income ones, or what. So that's probably why we went there, because public school in that area would not have been a good idea. Especially, I don't want to get too like racial, but I was the only white person.
Yeah.
Me and my sister both actually were the only white kids in our class for many of the years that I went there. But the good thing was it became, nobody really like thought about that. I don't know, by the time we were there, and
Yeah.
like fifth, sixth grade, nobody thought about it anymore, but it was just a fact. So anyways, that neighborhood, going to a private school, just, I assume, made my parents feel a little more safe, and but the area probably, I mean, it's just, I don't know,
Yeah.
downtown city
But you grew up.
area with a lot of change too. So like our neighborhood had a lot of people moving out and coming in of different,
But not in a good way, right? Like it
levels.
got like worse kind
No,
of. Like
yeah.
you guys, like you saw someone break into your house.
Our house got broken into many times. Yeah.
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 As a little girl, like that's going on.
Yeah.
And
And
then,
it was kind of like,
but then your parents split up. Your dad moved away to northern Indiana.
moved back to where he, grew up.
Yeah. Your mom was alcoholic. She ended up dying of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys, like as a very young kids, like you were on your own. Like you got ready for school. Like nobody got you up for like.
Yeah. So I don't know, without getting too into the details are grim.
Yeah.
So my parents split up when I was, I think I was like first grade, kindergarten,
Young,
maybe.
yeah.
I was young. And I'm one of three girls, and we're all really close in age. My oldest sister is, I think it's my oldest sister, and then 18 months is my middle sister, and then 16 months was me. So we were pretty close in age. And there came a time, kind of once my mom started getting bad, that my oldest sister wanted to move out. So because she was old enough in the eyes of the state to make her decision, she went and lived with my dad. So then me and my middle sister, we were together at my mom's house, and my older sister was with my dad. So that kind of split us apart for a while. And me and my middle sister got really close. We always were, but we got even closer then. And about around that time was, we kind of just had to start taking care of ourselves a lot. I mean, we had some help, but as far as at that age for other kids, that's doing things that you
getting
shouldn't
yourself
have to do.
getting yourself to school and back and
well, and then so then as we got a little older, and could then make our choice, we also then moved with dad. But I always said, or I've noticed now, this is as I get older, especially as I've become a mom, looking back kind of thing, I just feel like the part that sucked out of it the most for me, because at the time I didn't really think much of it. I thought, I didn't know any different. It's more of a looking back, I'm like, oh, that probably wasn't the best kind of situation.
Yeah.
But what I hated the most is just how quickly I feel like I had to grow up.
Yeah, exactly. I think it made you really hard at a young age. Like you had to do some life experiences that little girls that are 8 to 10 years old.
So to kind of take this back to what we originally started talking about.
Yeah.
I think it gave me, or I just figured out I had to put out that sense that I didn't care what other people thought of me or what they said. I couldn't let it affect me or what I was doing. And that helped me get through a lot of things, like in the young age. I mean, I remember talking to people later on that like were in class with me or in school with me, and they were like they were afraid of me. I'm 5'4" and have been, like, I've never been taller and small. I don't know. But it was just, I think it was more my like
vibe you gave off.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know. I was friendly. I get like, I kind of would talk to anyone, but I mean, I was harsh with my words, I guess, when I needed to be, because that's what I had. So to defend myself.
Yeah. I think you didn't let anything, like, you never let anybody push you around, and you almost like got ahead of it.
Yes.
Before people were even doing anything to you, kind of thing. So.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's just how it is. it's just part of it. Like we all have these things that we need to work on, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I think that's one thing that we can, to bring this full circle here.
Yeah.
That's kind of what James is talking about. Like God does not, it goes, we're going to talk about this later in this chapter, but he talks about, you know, judging others based on their sins, right? And it's like, no, you break, you know, the law reveals our need for mercy, right? And what Maddie just read there, 10-13, is like, just because you break this law doesn't mean you're any less or any more of a sinner than anybody else. Like whether you break the 10th commandment or the, you know, the 6th commandment, it doesn't matter. In God's eyes, you are, you're a sinner.
Yeah. That is also hard as
Yeah.
a person to remember.
It is. It's really hard. We, especially like in our society now, we do put certain sins above others, you know.
Oh, yes.
And I think the problem is like your, you know, sexual immorality is a big one. You know, with you know, what's the proper term? What's the politically homosexuals and all that kind of thing? And you know, that's a sin that people have a really hard time with in our culture now.
Yeah.
But is that any worse than a man, you know, gawking at a woman on the internet? No, you know, not in God's eyes,
Yeah.
you know. And we forget that.
I think about it more, or like where I struggle more with it is like you have murder,
Yeah.
which is like, I feel like everybody's like, yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
And then there are sins that like like you were talking about, we've become comfortable with, or
Yeah. Yeah.
we've
exactly.
almost justified. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
a better
yeah, yeah.
way to
And
say
certain
it.
like denominations have just justified. I mean, they have
Yeah.
almost turned the like twisted the words of the Bible to make these sins okay. You know, like that they're acceptable.
So that's why I struggle seeing them too as the same still. Like, but I mean, I understand the concept. I guess I can say that, but it's hard for me to. I mean, I understand how people could feel differently about them.
Yeah, it is
Not
hard.
saying that's
It's
right.
hard.
Yeah, it's hard to.
It's hard, and that's again that is because we care more about what people think of us. Like we're
Right.
afraid that someone's going to judge us because you know of what we're doing based on instead of us considering on what God wants us to do or what's God going to think of this. It's become much easier, like as you get older, to, like Maddie was saying, for me to become less caring about what others think.
Yeah.
So,
I have to tell myself too, especially now with social media and how widespread it is, and you cannot let any of that affect. Like, if it doesn't affect my bubble, I almost don't want to even know about it because we're not meant to know all of that.
Oh
so
man,
that's what I mean. It's just I don't want to know it all. So
well, and there's so much information you can look up and not even look. Yeah, sorry, we're both got coughs, so. Not even look up, it just gets fed to you on social media that you can't even process it all. And it's like, we're not meant to know every person in the world's problems, I don't think, you know, and we have to really step back sometimes. And another thing is like who you surround yourself with is a big one too. I can tell you guys this, like whenever, like I'm not a big curse. I don't cuss. Like I would call my, you know, if I cuss, I've slipped. I don't do it regularly, you know. But if you're around certain people and like, it's way easier for that to slip back into your vocabulary.
Yep.
And when we were younger, we both probably said more cuss words than we should have. Just not. I don't think any of us were. I'm not justifying it, but like that's something that I don't really do anymore. And I do find it like harder. Like I have to watch myself when I'm around, you know, certain people. And I have I have talked to friends about it. Like certain ones I'll be like, man, you are cursing a lot. Like is everything going on?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of them, you know, I'm not going to mention their names, but they're like, yeah, I've been thinking about it. And, you know, their occupation that they have is a bunch of kind of rough guys in it. And they're like, I'm just around it all day. So I say it now all the time. Like, well, I know, I can tell, you know?
Yeah. I think One thing that'll point it out to you too pretty quickly is if you're not usually around little ears, kids,
Yeah.
and then you get around kids and you're like, ooh,
Yeah, because they will say it or ask you about it at least.
Yeah.
Just in a blink of an eye.
Yep.
Man, there was something else that popped in my head about this.
Sorry.
No, it's not your fault.
I thought I just interrupted you.
I forgot what it was now. I may think of it here in a minute. But, this is a little bit off topic, but speaking of, things that our society has become okay with in certain denominations and stuff. And I keep talking about denomination. I just listened to a podcast on the 307 podcast about denominations, and they kind of broke down different denominations and their opinions of them and stuff. It was a good podcast. You should go check it out. It's pretty long. It's like 3 hours long. But I've always wanted to ask you this, and I probably have asked you this before, but as a woman, what are your feelings about like certain denominations letting like women be leaders in the church or pastors?
I can't say I've really like thought about it. So I guess I've been one extreme to the other. So like I said, I went to Catholic grade school, so went to mass. So obviously they only had fathers, and then they would have nuns. I didn't actually, they didn't have any nuns there in the years I went. They had them before, and I think maybe after, but that's still a thing. And then I actually, once I moved with my dad, they went to church at a Methodist church, and that's actually, I got baptized in the Methodist church.
Yeah. And Methodist is the denomination that's really kind of bent a little bit to society. And in certain people's opinion,
Relax. But one of the churches I attended in high school, just with friends that went there and stuff, and they had I guess I don't know their technical name, a woman pastor, minister maybe. Mm-hmm. Well, and even I have ministers as aunts and cousins. I have a cousin that's a minister and an aunt that was a minister. They're retired now, but I couldn't tell you much about the denominations they're part of. I could figure it out. And then we are Lutherans. So once I started dating Josh, I started going to church with them. And then I went through some classes and I guess converted. To be a Lutheran. And
became a member. Confirmed.
Yeah, became a member, and then got confirmed as a Lutheran. And they are more on the strict side. The way I kind of explained it to Josh, I said I feel like Lutheran is like a merger of Catholic and Methodist. Just from my experiences, kind of we do a lot of the same like readings and stuff as what I remember in the Catholic Mass, but it's not quite as full of rules. Maybe I guess. At least that's how it feels like in practice. But Lutherans
came from Martin.
Only have
Martin Luther's.
This is just the way.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I felt when I first became a Lutheran and like was in the Lutheran Church. So I felt like it was tighter than Methodist, but looser than the Catholic Church.
That's probably a fair assessment of it from someone that didn't.
Anyway, so I have, I guess, experience of male and female pastors, ministers, whatever they may be called. And I can't say I've really thought about it one way or the other.
Yeah.
I've not done research or reading about it or anything like that. But
well, I think what we keep forgetting is like all these things. It's like it doesn't matter what we think. It doesn't matter what the Methodist denomination thinks. It doesn't matter whoever you are. Like it doesn't matter what you think. It's what is in here. And I think that's where we lose a little bit of that from time to time, where it's like, okay, this doesn't fit our society right now, so let's just act like it's something different,
I think in one way, one thing I've had to learn, and honestly, one of the reasons I wanted to get deeper into my Bible and actually read the words and learn a little bit more about is, like as a woman, I want to be strong, empowered, and all of that, but also I do like I guess what I'm going to call normal or traditional family structure as well. So learning what that looks like in God's eyes and his will, like what I should be, what is God's will for my life as a woman, as a mother, as a wife. Like,
yeah.
like, but also like, so that's, all that to say, like women being leaders, pastors and things, like, I'm like, yay, like we're doing, but that's also not, if that's not the way it's supposed to be, then that's,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but
no, it's fine. I think where it's a society thing again, where we have put what God, like what you guys are what God put you guys here for as women is as important as what he put us on here for. But our society again has downgraded what a woman is. Like they've made it to like where it's, I mean, I think it's changing a little bit, but there was a time where it's like, you know, if you're not a woman with a career and stuff and like all this, you know, whatever, or you're not focused on your career. I mean, there's a lot. It's really hard now to have a family and like, you know, with single income. Yeah, it's just tougher, but than it used to be. But like I will tell you this, and I don't think you would carry me saying this. Like, you don't really like your career's not like your top priority in life at all. No. You know,
motherhood is number one.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, my faith, but as far as a job,
your family is number
as far as a job, yeah.
And you know, that's we've talked about that a lot with you. Like, you have a job; it's pretty flexible. You're able to, you know, be a full-time mom too, I think.
Yeah.
And then also, it also gives you the opportunity of like when the boys are grown and you want to do something. You know, if you feel the need to, hey, I kind of want to work on my career now. You'll be able to.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And that's going by fast. Like, it's going to be here before you know it. To where.
Don't say that. I will cry.
I know. Anyway, I don't know. I got off topic there. I was just thinking about that a little bit, mostly from that podcast I listened to.
I will say, so the one thing that has changed my perspective the most is I'm going to have to go and research this again, but there is the word that they use in the verse where they talk about wives submitting to their husbands. I'm pretty sure that's the one it is. Like the translation of submit, I want to say, is maybe it, or support.
Yeah.
It's what it actually means is a lot more empowering than what our society today thinks that word means.
Mm-hmm.
Helper. That's what I'm trying to think. Helper. So like when God made Eve to be Adam's partner or helper.
Yeah.
That doesn't, to serve him, that doesn't mean the same thing as what it was intended to mean.
Yeah. Like kind of a translation, not an issue, but just a.
And even the not. So the like I said, that woman that I listened to at the retreat had a very good knowledge of words,
mm-hmm.
the Greek translation.
Yeah.
And one of them was that word for women, like when he created Eve, it actually was a word that he uses for himself.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm like, okay, so he views this as
right. And that's what I'm saying is like, I don't think God's intention was to like make woman below.
I'm just saying that's the
or lesser.
That's the thing that I learned that made me understand that and made me feel empowered again in that way. So that's why I think like it's just become how we've viewed it or created it to feel a different way now. Yeah.
Well, it's just like even the you know, the stuff with like the pay gap between men and women. Yeah. Like they make that such a gigantic deal that now it's like it's so important for women to be paid as much as men, you know. But then that's like a skewed number because it's like, no, there's a lot of women that want to be moms, so they don't have an income and they figure that into the average, you know, or they have a job like you have where it's like, oh, they're not interested in a career. They are interested. They want to have a job and have that, you know, that atmosphere and, you know, talk to grown-ups from time to time, you know?
Yeah.
But like, they're not interested for the next 15 years to get a promotion or anything. They just want to have time off and they want to go in and do their thing and leave until I'm ready to, okay, I'm focusing on this now.
Yeah.
And it's like, but we have down, like that is to me and to God, that's admirable. Like, I think that's, what most of us probably should be doing.
Yeah.
But society has made it like, oh, look, why is that happening? And then all of a sudden the woman's like, oh man, I need to work harder and, let's get this pay gap closed up.
It comes back to the comparison thing too. Like we're seeing everybody else's life and we're not supposed to. So.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm doing a good job of putting my thoughts on this podcast, but
it's all just
this is just random.
Brainstorming.
So
you want to move on?
Yeah, because we've been on here.
Next section of the chapter here.
Yeah, 14 to 17. Mm-hmm. Faith without works is dead. Yeah. You want to read it 14 to 17?
Yeah. So this is labeled Faith and Deeds. What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them? Suppose a brother or a sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, "Go in peace, keep warm and well fed," but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. But someone will say, "You have faith, I have deeds. Show me your faith without deeds, and I will show you my faith by my deeds. You believe that there is one God. Good. Even the demons believe that and shudder."
Yep, that the demons thing, that's a pretty good line in there.
Yeah.
Because we do we do these people say, "Oh, how are you saved?" "Oh, I believe in Jesus." You're like, "Okay." So does Satan, and he's not saved. And I think it's in Acts where a very similar thing is happening in Acts where I'm losing his name now. Simon the sorcerer is talking about, maybe we talked about this last time, but he has a profession of faith and gets baptized even, but he's just doing it because he wants that power to be able to, sell his services. So his faith, he has faith, but his heart is in the wrong spot, right? So I think that's what James is trying to tell us here is like, just because you say you have faith or you believe, that doesn't necessarily mean your heart is in the right spot.
Right.
And that's where I was kind of referring to earlier in the podcast was like, okay, we get this, I'll pray for you, Christian, where it's like, oh, I'll pray for you. Well, or I could go help you, So, I think that's what James is talking about there is, don't be the Christian that just talks. Show your faith through your actions. And I think if you have true faith where your heart's in the right spot, that's a natural thing that's going to happen,
Yeah. We had kind of talked about that last week too, about putting your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, I think I may have even brought up Simon the sorcerer last week. I can't remember. Maybe me and you were talking about it.
I think we were talking about it separately.
What else did we do this week? We did something. Oh, we watched that Luther
part of it. Yeah,
we got like 20 minutes left to finish it up.
That was good.
Yeah, it was.
Someone like me.
And I think something else I was going to talk about is like Luther, like, so time has passed, Christianity began, time has passed. You got to the 1500s when there was the Reformation, where, you had like Martin Luther, some other folks that kind of reformed Christianity or the Roman Catholic Church. And then we kind of branched out from there where we got Lutherans, Baptist, Methodist, all these denominations now. But that's something that we've all gotten in our lanes now, to where, Lutherans think this way, Baptists think this way, Methodists think this way, Pentecostals, whatever, they have their own little niches that they kind of stay in. And I wonder one day if there'll be another like Reformation where it's like we come back together.
Yeah.
Because I oftentimes wonder, like, as a non-Christian, what does that look like to those people where you're like, okay, I think there's like I read somewhere there's like 30,000 different forms of Christianity, like
Yeah.
different branches. And I just wonder what that looks like to people. Like, these people don't even know what's going on.
Well, I know, on on Instagram,
Yeah.
for some reason, one of my reels came up, and it was a new Christian, and he was trying, just like day one, he was just documenting like day one of being a Christian. And so, like throughout that, he was trying different churches, and when he'd go, he would ask, like, okay, what does that mean? Like, why? I think Pentecostal was probably one that I can remember. And he's like, okay, why is that different than this? And I'm like, that would be very, like, where do I start? You know, so he went to a bunch of different denomination churches.
Well, and it's
to even find something that makes sense.
Happens because of what we're talking about here. It's like people, sometimes we forget that we're praising God and not praising ourselves. Like, what's happened all over these years is, and this is a general consensus, but like what's happened with all these denominations is, like, at one time there was people were Christians, and then all of a sudden they're like, we shouldn't be playing drums in here. I'm going to start a new denomination where you can't play drums in the church. And then we got this denomination. Now it's like, oh, I don't want to be baptizing these babies. Let's go and make this denomination. It's like, and all of a sudden it's like, now we have 30,000 of these because we couldn't get along, or we couldn't,
stay true to
we
the
didn't,
scripture.
probably what happens, we didn't like what was said in here. Or we didn't, it didn't fit our style. And so we bent, and then all of a sudden now we have all these denominations. Yeah. And I'm not saying, I don't know if it's a bad thing per se, because it has allowed God's word to spread. Those people that are sinful and got mad for whatever reason, they couldn't get along to where they could figure it out and make a decision on their own. They made their own church. That spreads out. And all of a sudden, instead of having one church in a location, you have, 4 or 8, or, big cities. Hard telling how many churches are in those cities. So it's not all a bad thing. But it is probably most of it came from division in the church. So,
yeah. Let me read the rest of the chapter, and then we can talk about that, and then say any other
go ahead
things you want to say. Just so
I've gotten a bunch of rants tonight.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, you're fine. Just so we at least get all of it read.
Mm-hmm.
You foolish person, do you want evidence that faith without deeds is useless? Was not our father Abraham considered righteous for what he did when he offered his son Isaac on the altar? You see that his faith and his actions were working together, and his faith was made complete by what he did. And the scripture was fulfilled that says, Abraham believed God, and it was credited to him as righteousness, and he was called God's friend. You see that a person is considered righteous by what they do and not by faith alone. In the same way, was not even Rahab, the prostitute, considered righteous for what she did when she gave lodging to the spies and sent them off in a different direction? As the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without deeds is dead. So I had underlined, a person is considered righteous by what they do and not by faith alone. So something, and I even made our pastor's sermon today actually was kind of similar to this discussion a little bit, or you touched on it. And I had even made a note to look up definitions and synonyms, I guess, with righteous, or like kind of what that really means. But I like that what it says here, a person is considered righteous by what they do and not by faith alone. So like that just makes it clear for me.
Yeah.
It's the actions of the person, not just the faith. Just because you hear that word a lot.
Yeah.
And
we almost use it. We almost use it as an excuse to not act as a Christian. You know, and not maybe not outwardly, but in your mind, you people ask you, are you going to go to heaven, or why are you going to go to heaven? And you're like, I believe in Jesus.
Yeah. It's
like, well, so does the demons.
Yeah.
And there is, Jesus does say that, and I think about this a lot. The gate to heaven is narrow.
Yeah.
And many will not make it. So, yeah, I think this is a reminder of James is reminding us here that it takes more than just saying you're a Christian or you have faith to make it into heaven, or to be with Jesus.
So I want to, I guess, ask you a question. There may not be a right or wrong or whatever, but
I may not have an answer.
In my mind, it's, so I understand and I agree. Faith by itself is not what you need. You need actions. So what do you feel about, like, I'm trying to figure out the best way to word this. If you believe, you have faith, and you sin, so we believe you can be forgiven. You are forgiven. We are forgiven. So you will have to,
if you repent.
If you repent. So those are the deeds. So, right? Repenting is the deed of your faith.
It is
so
one of them, yeah, I would say.
It is. The deeds matter.
Yeah.
But what about deeds like without faith? Like
deeds without
faith.
faith.
So if deeds matter, because we're saying here, like faith by itself, you need to have the deeds with the faith. So deeds do matter, but deeds alone don't matter without the faith. So
right.
I guess flipping it, how would you discuss that, or how would you explain that?
Well,
because that goes back to what we were talking about last week with
people that are good people.
Yeah.
But
because some people will say, "Oh, I don't believe in God. I'm just going to do good.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be a good person."
Right. And
so that would be the deeds without the faith.
I think it's pretty clear. I mean, there's two parts to that, right? Like you gotta have Jesus as your Lord and Savior and believe in Him. That's probably number one, Yeah. And I think what James is really saying is, if you are truly devoted to Jesus and do what He has asked us to do, your actions are going to show that. You're not going to have to tell people that you're a Christian.
Right.
They're going to know by the fruit you bear, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
And maybe James is thinking more of the lines of like, it's almost impossible to be a Christian and not have good deeds. So that's what he's calling people out on. Like, hey, you may be telling people you're a Christian or you believe in Jesus, but your actions, you got to make sure that your actions are showing that, because that's really a true tell of what is actually in your heart. And everything is about your heart and what, where, if it's in the right place or not.
So do you think he was also telling people that were doing good things, but saying that they're not a believer, that, hey, maybe you are a believer. Why do you think you want to do these good things? Maybe you should believe. Maybe you should be.
Yeah, maybe that's something they could think about.
Maybe he's trying to convert them as well.
Yeah, maybe.
In that way.
I don't know. I think he's talking in James here. He's talking to believers. He's talking to the persecuted Christians.
Yeah.
And probably what's going on here, babe, is like, so he's talking to persecuted Christians. So there's probably a lot of people that are like kind of hiding their faith.
Yeah.
And maybe they're not showing it in public. So that's true, because they would. Yeah. And a lot of things in the Bible get taken out of context because we read it as some, like we got to remember who people are talking to during these time frames in the Bible and what's going on in the world. I guess that's more so what I was talking. I'm not trying to take it out of just. It made me think of things like, how would you talk to someone, or like. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. James in this is not talking. No, he's not. Yeah. I understand what you're saying. But anyway, do you have anything else on this stuff? I don't. Tonight? It looks. Do you have more notes there? No, we actually went through everything I had there. He talks about at the end there about Abraham and Rahab, about demonstrating genuine faith. I think Abraham, he's mostly talking about when he asked him to sacrifice his son. Yeah. And he had so much faith that that's what he was going to do. And then obviously God provided a lamb, and that he didn't have to sacrifice his son, but and yeah, it's like that is the ultimate. Like that is something. Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy. Well, and that's I was just thinking, like, because I'm sure people struggle with, like, is this what God is asking me to do? And if it is, why is it so hard? Yeah, because sometimes it's that hard. But
You just have to have that faith that it's the reason behind it is
Yep.
worth it.
It is. And it's not always going to make sense either, you know.
Oh, I know.
Because I'm sure,
last week.
you know, when Abraham was taking his son up to, is it Isaac? Is that his name?
It says right there.
Up to the mountain to sacrifice him. I'm sure he was thinking, this doesn't make sense.
This isn't right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Bill told me to give you the comfy chair. Good news, Bill. This is not the comfy chair I'm sitting in. It's loud and noisy, and it makes my back hurt.
Trying to get.
We've been looking for a new chair for weeks now.
Yeah.
Just haven't found one. May have to break down and buy a new one.
Yeah.
We like to thrift. We go to thrift stores.
A new to us chair.
New to us chair. We just haven't found one yet. Anytime you're not looking for one, you'd see one laying around.
Yep.
But it's not. What else? I think that's it for this week.
Yep. I was just going to say, so we continue on next week. The plan is chapter 3.
Chapter 3. Yep. We'll probably I got a new lens for my camera. I just didn't have time to mess with it, but hopefully that looks better too. I'm always trying to make things better around here, you know?
Yeah.
All right.
It looks pretty good looking at it now, but.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad, but it'll look better next week. I'll say a prayer for us before we get out of here.
Good idea.
God, thank you for this day, and thank you for bringing us all together to talk about your word. Please let our actions show that we are Christians, and keep us steadfast and looking towards you, and show an example of what a Christian is outwardly and not just inwardly. Please keep everybody safe that is listening to this episode. We're truly blessed to have everybody on tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, everybody. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you later.
See ya.